He went with I'll be Hutch, you be Todd.
Why, hello, and welcome to issue 718 of Geek in the City Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Beanarita.
And I am your other host, Fried Cabell.
How's it going there, Fry Cobble?
What's shaking, Cabell?
It's going. It's going.
Really quick, speaking of what's shaking, because that used to be like cables or
Keelan's
thing. So you guys, if I know cable, you don't have. Now I'm maybe like I know cable. The problem is this is gonna stick in my head.
Yeah,
It'll be hard to not call you
Cabell.
Cabell.
That's fine.
Anyway, so if you're on TikTok, you need to follow Keelan's page. It's all his music and stuff.
Mhm.
But he's gotten into like figuring out how to do like graphic video and effects work. So now he'll do stuff as like I don't think it's official Star Pilot. Like I don't know, it's not the Star Pilot, but it looks like it, and he'll just stream with him like playing his music in the background, but in his spaceship cockpit, being like, "I'm just flying around, right down in space. I got dumped, so I'm just gonna be out here." And they'll just start freestyling like, I'm in space.
So it's like Star Pilots, but unofficial.
I guess so. I
Like
just saw it.
non-canonical Star Pilot.
Right. I just found it to be incredibly charming when I saw it.
It's very cute.
It was very cute. Very cool.
Cool. Cool.
How's everybody going? First off, we sound fantastic.
We sure do.
Fuck me.
We're not gonna talk about
Pop music.
what was the problem. We're just gonna move on, right? We're just gonna like, it's great. It's great. We're great. Everything's great. Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, part of it, we still don't know what caused certain echoes.
I cannot figure out like why we had such a problem. And then we did the USB thing to resolve that, but that wasn't the problem, so it didn't fix the problem.
Yeah. But now it's fixed.
Yep, that's what matters.
That's right.
One good tech run, and we are back in business, baby.
For the last show of the year.
We're so good at this.
That's okay. We'll come back strong.
I think I want an explanation off air later.
There's nothing to explain.
I mean, that is it. I mean,
that was the explanation. It's like,
yeah.
we don't know what was wrong because seems like we did everything the way we normally would, and it was weird, and we tried to fix it, but the fix didn't work. And then we put everything back the way it was, and then it was perfect, like this.
Yeah. No, I know you're looking at us like we're hiding something. We're literally not.
That's why it's absurd, because this is the actual whole truth.
Yeah. And we are back to the original setup.
If I was just being like sarcastic or goofy, I would have told you the real truth by now.
That's true. You would have.
Okay. Yeah. But no, I'm just kidding. No, there is no but. Like that was it.
Stop. Don't lead him on like that. But the point is that we do in fact now sound excellent, even though this room maybe could use a little adjusting. But that's between me and my gods.
That's right.
You have gods?
The gods of decor and
and acoustics.
taxidermy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Decor and taxidermy.
Oh, Leo. What? The god of taxidermy, Leo. Yeah, I know him.
Wait, is that a real myth thing? Was there?
I'm just making sure.
No, I think my god of taxidermy might be Lana Crooks. I probably talked about this after we did the Oddities Expo, but I talked to people at Paxton Gate. About doing some restoration work on Black Phillip, who I inherited from Aron, who inherited it from our friend Prime.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And it turns out that they work with another local artist who goes by Lana Crooks, so she's my hero now. She's my god of taxidermy.
Have you dropped off Black Phillip?
Yes. I've paid my deposits. Black Phillip is now in her hands, and at some point I will hear back about the progress.
It's gonna come back all shiny and undead. Dead.
I don't think she's quite that magical, but
No,
he's gonna
well,
look good as new. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, and I'm excited for that.
You look as good as the day Prime's dad shot it.
Yay!
That goat head's been around.
He is quite aged and he was
Mhm.
very brittle. In fact, he was in the basement when they came to fix our insulation, and I think somebody bumped into him because
I see.
then like it was like within that same like 24 48 hour window that I'd like checked on him and taken pictures and then went to go load him into the car and take him to Paxton Gate, and his ear was next to him.
Oh, that's a bummer.
That's
Yeah.
not where ears are supposed to
Well,
go.
but they're gonna reconnect the ears, right?
Cool.
She's probably gonna just make him a new ear,
Oh,
I'm guessing. I don't know. So the thing is that she is a she works with felt and other like organic materials
okay.
Mhm.
like that to create faux taxidermy that is very, very realistic looking and very, very beautiful. And so I was
Oh,
surprised.
her.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
her.
yeah. Okay. now I
That's
know.
why I was like so surprised to find out that that's who they work with uh, for restoration projects. I'm like, but she works with fake stuff. Those her animals are
That's
fake.
cool.
But I guess objectively it makes sense because it's not like you can just go out and buy more, you know, dead animal tissue to attach
Yeah.
to
Oh.
the, wherever your dead animal tissue broke off.
Right.
So felt is probably like the best thing for that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'll share pictures when I get him back,
Nice.
and then I gotta figure out where he's gonna live.
Get him back. He can go up in here.
But I had my my Impala horns that I thought I was gonna put in here.
Just make this the Hall of Horns.
The Hall of Horns. Ooh, coming to you live
From the Hall
from
of
Beaner Rita's
Horns.
Hall of Horns.
Yep, I like it.
Yep.
All right, done.
Done.
There we go. Decided.
Oh, and that reminds me, I got new internet today because the internet that the building comes with it's good, but
Mhm.
it's way too fucking expensive. It's like $75 a month. It's ridiculous how much I was paying. This is a long way to say that I got a new router through a new company, so I got to actually name my Wi-Fi this time.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I just named it the Shadowfell.
Cool.
That's all.
Tight.
There's no real reason for that other than, I was gonna call it Barovia, but I felt that was gauche. Also, my building looks nothing like an Eastern European Transylvanian landscape with a giant castle.
It does not.
It does not, unfortunately.
Parts of my bedroom, you could argue, maybe looks like a haunted castle,
Mhm.
but
You could have called it like Strahd's bedchamber or something like that. Well, because it's your bedroom.
Yeah, but
So-
I'm not the Lord of Barovia.
Then it would be
Not with that attitude.
Well, and also he's kind of an asshole. Like, I don't think I want to be associated with him.
But the vibe of the room, you're saying. We're just talking about the vibe of the room.
It could have
Okay.
been. You could have named it Barovia B&B.
Man, if I wasn't so against the ideas of Airbnbs as a concept, I would 100% create like a Ravenloft themed Airbnb.
Well, you can still create a real B&B and not give into Airbnb.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. The real B&B is like almost a lost art at this point.
That's true.
Do you know how many D&D nerds would stay if you opened a Barovian bed and breakfast?
Oh my god.
All of them.
Yes.
Here's the problem.
Every last one.
I would never have guests because I would be there all the time.
Well, usually when you run a B&B, you live and own
You live
That's
that
true.
place.
Well, then let's start a GoFundMe so that I can buy some kind of Victorian or weird looking mansion thing.
You want to buy a castle in Scotland?
I don't want to go to. Do
Are
you guys want to come
sure?
with me?
Yeah.
I mean, not full time.
Well, what's the point?
My
then? I wanna live-
my
I don't
job
want-
is very
I
location
don't want to
specific.
live by myself.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I
It's
mean-
pretty location specific. I don't know, but I would come visit you a lot.
Yeah,
all the time.
It's not the same.
it's not the same.
This is why we need transporter technology.
Yeah,
That is.
I want replicators. I want transporters.
I mean, it doesn't
Can
have.
you go in a transporter? Can you take me from Portland to somewhere in Scotland? I like totally blanked on any names of any Scottish cities.
Edinburgh.
Thank you.
Do you remember in Picard where they had site-to-site transporter gates?
Go back to the beginning of that sentence, Cable.
Do you remember?
Do you remember watching Picard? Did you watch Picard?
Yes.
No, no,
Okay.
Cable. The phrase
Yeah,
is, "Do
the-
you remember?"
Do you remember?
No.
No. I just cut you off
So
right there.
like Picard went from France
Mhm.
to San Francisco
Cool.
through
Excellent.
a transporter gate.
Yeah.
They're set up for the public to use so that you can walk through in one place and end up in another place.
Oh, like a
With-
series of tubes.
Yes. But
In the same way that a series of tubes would be set up, if that were the
Right.
future we lived in.
if we're also like, if we were taking transport technology to exist the way it exists in Star Trek, and that's real, because that's the one thing that everyone's like, yeah, we're never going to be able to do that. That is the closest thing to science fiction being magic.
Right.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
No, that's the one every physicist is like, look, technically warp is possible. We know how to do it. It just takes too much power. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and we've all seen The Fly.
Yes.
It's pretty dangerous. Or Tuvix.
Or Tuvix.
It's dicey.
But like in the reality of Star Trek, transporter technology being real, you like Scotty explained it. That granted, it was in the Kelvinverse, but it still stands. That you can use a transporter to transport someone from Earth to Pluto with no signal degradation. And as soon as he'll have that final proof as soon as Admiral Archer's prize Beagle shows back up.
Right. No, that was in warp beaming.
Yes, but that was also distance actually doesn't matter.
Oh.
When transporting, as long as you know all of the variables, you should be able to use transporter technology to beam someone from Earth to Vulcan to Romulus to Klingon.
That's some Into Darkness bullshit.
Yes. Which I am going to go watch next week.
So you don't have to do like a Stargate situation where you transport to a hub, and when you get to the other side, to that other transporter, there's a series of other transporters to get you to other further locales.
Nope.
What's Dark 8?
No,
Stargate.
not Darkgate. Stargate.
Oh, okay.
You made me forget my own words.
She said Stargate.
I thought you said Dark Gate. I was like, what is
Star?
that?
Ooh,
Stargate.
I don't know, but I want in on that.
I know. The Dark Gates.
Yes.
It's my next D&D campaign.
I mean, there is just The Gate. That is a movie.
That's true. And then there's
It is
the Mass Effect jumps. Those are gates.
Oh man. Yeah.
Still never played a Mass Effect.
Oh, they're so good.
It's fine.
They're great.
It's fine.
I've never played I don't even play the video games I have.
I can't help you on that one.
No.
I've been playing video games that are like decades old. Like I'm currently enjoying my first run or my second run through. It's my first. Like I played it once before and I'm playing it again of Knights of the Old Republic.
I've still never played that.
It's fine.
It's fine. Are there any games that you're like, this is fantastic?
Mostly when I come across those, it's always Resident Evil.
Yeah, I need to get the Resident Evil, like yet another version of Resident Evil 4. They did a full remaster again just a few months ago. Apparently, it's fantastic.
What is it about Resident Evil 4 that calls for so many
It was the one that kind of shifted the game again.
Game mechanics changed drastically.
Yeah, they changed drastically. It was the first time they went over the shoulder, right? Instead of that weird POV, it was always over the shoulder. It was also a big deal because it was the first Resident Evil game for Nintendo, because it debuted on the GameCube, and everyone was like, how the hell can the GameCube look this good?
And it does.
It does. It still looks great.
It stands up. It stands the test of time. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm trying to remember the name of the one that I'm playing right now. It's also an older one that Merritt got me for my birthday, specifically for the PS3. I think it's Revelations.
Yeah. They did weird stuff, because then they did 1, 2, 3. Then they did was that Code Veronica, or did they do Resident Evil 0 first? Because 0 is the one that runs parallel to 3. 0, you're playing Rebecca.
Right. They came out at the same time.
0 and 3? Code Veronica and 0 did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Code Veronica was
different-
exclusive to Dreamcast.
Yeah. And they were for different, like until Dreamcast went away. They've since made it. Because I think I have both Code Veronica and 0 for GameCube.
Yeah. Literally the only reason why I bought a Dreamcast was to get Code Veronica. I'm so addicted to Resident Evil games. Anyway, 4 was a big shift in how the games worked.
It's really good.
Yeah.
The one that I'm playing takes place on a boat.
Yeah, that's Revelations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And then
great.
they did really shitty like first person shooter ones too, but we don't talk about those.
Are we talking about 5?
Oh, not as bad as 6. The racist one.
Oh, that's the one that's racist.
Oh my god. Yeah, where like it only infects black people in Africa and turns them into savages.
Yep.
What? Who greenlit that project?
Someone
Good
who doesn't
God.
do Resident Evil anymore. And also why the world got the hard reboot with technically 7, but they just called it Resident Evil, or they just called it Biohazard.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the house with the creepy family.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
a video game passes through a lot of hands and gets looked over by a lot of eyes. I'm blown away by this.
But
fact.
that happens all the time. It was like way fucking back when they did Flashpoint in the DC stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, one of them was the one of the Flashpoint universes was that whole Amazon's attack, and it fucked up the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And like comic book people knew what they meant because it showed like the map of the globe and who ran what, and like Legion of Doom pretty much ran like North America.
Mm-hmm.
Arthur was like fighting Atlanteans versus the Amazons was the war that was destroying the world.
Yep.
But in fucking Africa, they called it ape controlled Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew what they really meant. Grodd, the kingdom of Grodd. Why did you just not call Africa the kingdom of Grodd?
Yep.
Why did you have to call it ape controlled Africa? Like,
so, here's the point I'm going to make about this, and then we should move on to like what we're actually going to talk about tonight.
right.
And that is, for as many, you talk about these things pass through many, many hands, and many people have the opportunity to go, this is bullshit, you can't do this. There's the mentality in corporate America that they beat into you, which is, well, if it's made it this far, then someone said this was okay. So I just have to shrug and go, okay, fine. My part of this looks great. Just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, that's fair and logical.
Yeah.
Dumb, but it's sort of like, well, this isn't I'm not in charge around here. So
I'm just your baby.
And there's also a lot of people who probably wanted to say something and felt like it was not in their best interest.
As someone who says, excuse me, no, a lot to people in charge, they don't want you to do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're in an industry where you probably have a very tenuous grasp on your job to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And the comic industry, as I've said before, long memories, thin fucking skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For an industry that makes you deal with rejection 98% of the time, you'd think they'd be a little bit tougher about things that actually mattered.
No, I wouldn't. No.
Well, before we invite our guests on, just take a quick break so we can talk about our friends at Asylum.
Yeah, let's do
I
that.
feel like once we get going, we won't get back to Asylum.
We are not going
Potentially. Yeah.
Yes.
Good call.
So, 3713 Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard, right across from the Baghdad Theater. He just wrote us today or yesterday about how, like, as a rule, like Asylum doesn't do sales. It's kind of like what you see is what you get kind of thing.
Right. They keep pretty competitive pricing,
but they know that this year's
business.
economically hard on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what I mean. So they are offering sales on certain items, like some of their lamps, some of their items, and they'll have them marked in the store.
The Umaji lighting.
Yes, that was it.
Correct. And they will also be offering, I believe this goes closer to the end of the month, but they are going to have discounts on some of the furniture as a limited time special in December.
Mm-hmm.
So some, not all. You're going to want to verify if furniture is what you're there to look at. But again, that's not really their bottom bitch anymore. It's all about this sweet home decor.
No,
Hi,
keep
Deb.
going.
Hi, Anton.
Uh-huh.
No, I wanted to let you finish laughing. Such as I just saw these today, and I'm really excited. They've got they've got like hanging planter guys.
Oh, I just saw that.
Yes, I love those. I've been wanting something like that for a really long time, and now I know that I can buy them local, so that's exciting.
That's really cool.
They've got these little ceramic dualies that are really cute together. I'm going to assume they're salt and pepper shakers.
They
Though
look like it.
they don't actually have a caption on them. And then you know what they still have or have again, Cable?
What's that?
Those awesome gradient puzzles, like the one you got me for Christmas a couple
Oh,
years back.
Great.
And of course, tons of other like really cool, unique stuff that they've had for a long time, stuff that's like new and different for the store. I could just go on and on.
I still love the Lone Cactus Motel. If you look on their Facebook page, they have these like minimalist. They basically look like Matchbox or Hot Wheels cars, but they're all made of wood and they're very minimalism. They're just really cool.
Yeah,
I think that's the one I mentioned that if Wes Anderson ever wanted to do a stop motion with wood, he could use these.
Yep,
that's kind of what it looks like.
He would use those.
Yeah, 100%. They got man. See, every time I look at their home bar stuff, I always see their classy decanters and everything.
Right, not just classy, but also like really fun and quirky too. Very modern, vintage. Very Star Trek inspired, as we like to point out. Just because of the really unique shapes and colors that they use. I believe that they have a cocktail shaker set that looks like a rocket ship.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, hit them up. At this point in the month, they are open every day from at least noon to 4, but more likely 5 if traffic is good and sales are coming through.
And don't wait on it. Come January 1st, they are back to regular hours.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, like the specials are right now. Anything that can be purchased at an additional discount can be purchased at that discount nowish.
Yeah. So check them out. And when you're there, thank them for I guess being our bottom bitch. Is that the thing?
I don't know that applies in this situation.
Then don't thank them for that.
Don't.
Thank them for being the top we all know and love.
Tell them that they are your bottom bitch for buying modern minimalist decor and
I'm going to need you to explain
how that
phrase works.
If you don't understand by now, I don't know that I can help you. Make sure you follow them online, facebook.com/PDXasylum.
Well, with that, before we bring them on, do you want to talk about who we're having on here?
Yes. Okay. So our guests today. Dylan Hillerman is a writer, director, and actor who has been involved in over 100 productions. He founded Guignol Fest Productions in 2008. Julia Riotica is an interdisciplinary artist who produces, writes, directs, performs, and manages film and live performance projects. And she is a pioneer in the field of biological art. Together, they are the producers of Guignol Fest Productions, which brings you the 72-hour horror film contest and festival, and the horror series The Night Attacks, which Dylan and Julia co-write, direct, produce, and act in. So, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Hey, folks. Hey, Dylan and Julia. I know you mentioned here. Is your camera not working? If that's not, that's fine.
That's odd because it says it's enabled.
Hello.
Okay, can you hear me?
Maybe they thought the break was longer.
Maybe.
And then they stepped away.
They may have.
I'll turn on.
That's fine. They'll come back. It'll be a surprise.
Surprise.
Okay, no, Dylan can hear us. So, Dylan, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay. See, this is what we get for bragging about no more tech issues.
I don't know what's going on.
Actually, yeah, it's got to be on his end. So, woohoo! I mean, sorry, but woohoo! So, know any good jokes?
No. I don't.
Google, look it up.
Okay.
I always default when I have to tell a joke. I default to the joke from The Crow.
Oh, What? Bang! Fuck! I'm dead. That one?
No, the one it's like Jesus Christ. Stop me if you've heard this. Jesus Christ walks into
Oh,
a hotel.
hold on.
Yeah.
Vex can hear him, so it is on our end. Why?
Is the Zoom recorder connected to
Yeah.
the restream?
Yep. Let us see what is going on. Blah 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 blah. Hold on. Working. Sorry about this.
And you've got a fourth input.
Yes. It's
Is it-
automatic.
Is there a switch?
No.
I feel like there might have been a on-off for that.
I did.
I will try other things, but because we've had this plenty of times before, and it's never been an issue ever. Why is it an issue now? See, this is what I get for bragging that we fixed everything.
Do you need to unmute your restream?
I don't mute mine.
Can you see me?
I might be out of ideas.
Well, and they're checking on the tax. They can see us, they can hear us, all that stuff.
We can't see you either.
Yeah, we also can't see you, which is weird.
Oh wait, hold on. Oh dang it! I thought something was happening.
Okay.
Are you able to do it? I can
Yeah,
Maybe we should take another.
no.
video settings.
Let's see. Yeah, let's take a really quick break while I try to figure out why it's doing this, y'all. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm going on to this.
Makes no sense.
Camera.
Hello. Oh, you can hear me. I can't hear you. I can. No, they can hear us.
Let's see if this works here.
Test, test, test. Check 1. Check again. Check 2. Cool. Some progress.
How about now?
How about now?
Hello. I
Hello,
can
you can
see
hear
you
us?
guys. I can hear you and see
Hear
you.
All
Yeah,
right.
great.
Okay.
Then
Cool. I just don't know why
welcome
this.
back.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we just needed to toggle a couple settings.
Yeah,
But,
I think I know what it did. But we're good now. And none of that actually happened.
Cool.
so intro. I hope you guys heard any of that. Welcome on to the show, Dylan Hillerman and Julia Riotica.
Julia's right next to me. She's
Hello.
pulling up her seat. Sorry you can't see me, but we'll just pretend it's radio.
There you go. That's fine. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I have a face for radio, so that's why you can't see me.
Said the performers
Yes.
Right.
and actors.
Yeah.
So for a little bit of context, the reason we asked you to join us this week is because you helped put on last weekend's show for the Elfmans, Fantasy Insanity.
Correct.
And now that we've all experienced that event together, we wanted to discuss it, and we thought who better to join in the conversation than you guys.
Excellent. Thank you so much for inviting us on, and thank you so much for doing a podcast with Richard. That was a big help.
That was a lot of fun.
We thank you for reaching out to us and setting that up. That was fantastic. Getting to meet Richard and Anastasia was fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah, that was. I watched that show too. That was a lot of fun. Richard's a crazy man.
Yes, he is.
Have you known Richard long, or is this the first time you guys like work together to put something on or interacted? What's the story there?
I've only known Richard through the movies, and I reached out to him this year because I heard they were doing a little bit of touring, and so I felt like, this is perfect for us because I know his work. I feel like I know the man's mind in a way, and his style, and so I thought we were a perfect fit. So we reached out, and we were, they vetted us in a sense. They checked into what we do, what our skills are, and stuff like that. So it all worked out, and it was just exciting to do, and kind of a dream come true in a lot of ways.
When we interviewed them, they both said that through correspondence with you, they had really enjoyed getting to know you and enjoyed your professionalism, and they were very excited to be able to finally get to meet you in person last week.
Yeah, so were we. It was just one of those things. There's certain people, I guess, who I admire their work, and it would be nerve-wracking to meet them, but I don't know, the older I get, it just seems like more like, they're my friend. They, I get them, they get me, and it really is no sweat to reach out to people like this these days. In the recent past, we've been traveling with the Stoker family on these Dracula tours, and
Ooh, that's cool.
yeah, really cool. And we've been to Scotland, Ireland with Dacre Stoker, the author, and also a great grandnephew of Bram Stoker. And
That's why you were so quick with the Scotland names, huh?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Cruden Bay is one of the places where Bram wrote Dracula. So we stayed in the hotel where he wrote part of Dracula. That's part of
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Vampires seem to be a theme for the last couple of years, especially also for Richard and Anastasia with Bloody Bridget. So
Mhm.
really cool to kind of compare different folklore, everything from you see Baron's Samadai in there too. People
Mhm.
say either Samedi or basically Samedi Samadai means Saturday, but you see that trope in a lot of vampire movies and horror movies as well. So
Well,
kind of not. It's
I would say that no, the Baron is a that was a funny coincidence because we actually have and like I say, there's 3 pronunciations. I call him Someday, but the Baron is in our series too, the Night Attacks, and he lives in Portland because he moved over after Louisiana had the floods, and so but we actually cast Don Pedro Colley from the film Sugar Hill, and he was reprising his role as the Baron, and then I find out that Richard made Bloody Bridget, and there's Baron again. So that was one of the first of many things we had kind of in common was this certain, I guess, obsessions or whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
So it was easy to talk to them. We have a lot of things in common, as you may recall from the interview you did with the Elfmans. Anastasia mentioned her obsession with Lon Chaney, which I share that obsession. So it was, like I say, just yet another thing we could talk about together. We knew that we had the same language.
Which is always nice. Like, it's nice to find your people regardless of where they are from or what lives they have lived.
Exactly. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the kind of people that you can meet that are in entertainment, and you've seen them, you know their name, you've seen them doing their work your whole life, and just to go up to them and go, "Hey, how's it going?" and have a full effortless conversation about anything, and walk away and just pinch yourself and go, "I can't believe that just happened." But just the kind of growing maturity, you realize, you know what, they're just like you.
Yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and it's a good feeling.
What were you gonna ask?
No, I was say horror is the thing that unifies us all.
It really is,
and it's a very close community too.
Yeah, I would agree. I remember going to the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors back in 1987 at LAX, and they only advertised about 4 or 5 names, but there was about 30 living legends who arrived that were just, hobnobbing with, and it was just unreal. I mean, you had George Romero walk into a room, and a room full of people who are afraid. I mean, he's a tall man. He was a tall man, and they were. You could see all these, horror fans turning around with their autograph materials, and they don't want to rush them, so they moved up on them really slow, and it looked like a room full of zombies just coming up on George Romero.
And he's like, "Yes, again."
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, he probably had to deal with that on a daily basis.
I don't know why I always thought George Romero was short.
No, he was very tall. Yes.
I don't want to. I don't know. Like I want to say he was almost like a 6'6" kind of guy.
Okay.
Very tall.
Yeah, that's a full foot taller than I am.
Yeah. And then just such a humble and grounded and nice person. And many other people like that same weekend, I got to hang out with Roddy McDowell and say hello to Tom Savini and all these guys. It was just, the only 2 people I couldn't talk to were Anthony Perkins and Robert Englund. Yeah. Because they had an engagement after the show, so they had to run out the door.
That would have been my goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like my first horror guy. Is like as far back as I can remember.
I love Robert Englund for multiple reasons, but one of them is definitely and I didn't learn this until Trek in the Park, his connection to Star Trek.
Processing.
He was college roommates with the man who wrote The Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh, with David Gerald?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So David Gerald, when we did The Trouble with Tribbles at Trek in the Park, he came out to a couple showings and he talked to the audience and he shared this story about when he wrote that. And he wrote that when he was in college, and it aired. And he said that his roommate like organized the dorm to all come down, and they all sat around and watched the show together.
Aw.
And just made a huge deal out of it. And he's like, "This is great, David. You're gonna go far. This is an amazing thing to have had happen." It's like he was my biggest fan for this, and I kept telling him, like, "Look, Robert, it is one episode of one television show that no one is going to remember inside of a year."
Wow.
And he was wrong, and Robert was right.
At least the story wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
You know? Like your friends are unsupportive.
No, and that's one of those things where he talks about about Robert, and this is like one story, but it's like, yeah, that sounds like that's just the kind of guy he is, which is great.
Oh, we saw your faces for just a second.
I know, Julia's tinkering. We might figure this out in a second. I have another quick thing to say about Robert Englund. Cool, there we are.
Yay, you can see you.
Yay. I heard that he was also roommates with Mark Hamill, and Robert came home one day and said, "Hey, you're looking for work. You should check out. There's this auditions for something called the Star Wars."
Oh my God!
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of that, but so Freddy Krueger got Luke Skywalker a job.
and he was a Trek writer's biggest fan. So Robert Englund is the reason we have Star Trek and Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we know, then.
That's how it works. Little butterfly wings.
Yeah.
I do actually really love that, because Freddy Krueger is a total creep. He's not just like a monster or a horror villain. He's a full-on creep. So to learn good things about Robert Englund.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just nice.
Yeah. So Mark Hamill has said Robert Englund was one of many people who told him about this Star Wars thing.
Oh, okay.
Auditioning. Because he told Mark Hamill after he had auditioned for Han Solo.
Huh.
Robert Englund as Han Solo.
Huh. Wow, that would be a very different Star Wars.
Yes, it would be.
Yes, very much so.
The Cavalier Robert Englund.
That's right. Trying to imagine like Freddy Krueger just yelling Chewie all the time now.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird.
Yeah. Wow, someone's gonna cosplay that one day. Freddy Krueger as Han Solo.
All right, get on it, nerds.
It'll be the mashup.
So for our listeners who may not be familiar with Guignol Fest, what is the Guignol Fest?
Guignol Fest is a horror film contest in which you are handed elements. So you get a character name, a line of dialogue, a prop, and then you run away with all your friends. And then 3 days later, you come back with a 7-minute horror film, or roughly 6 minutes and 66 seconds, as we put it. And I named it Guignol Fest because of the theater Théâtre du Grand Guignol from Paris, France. Opened in 1897, and it pretty much virally infected the cinema forever. You almost see any horror film you see owes a lot of respect and origin to the Grand Guignol Theater in Paris, because there's just a few short years prior they had stopped doing public executions, and yet there was still this little bit of bloodlust in the Parisian circles. And so the people who started the theater were experimenting, and what they were trying to do was combine expressionism with naturalism, and different forms of theater that were happening in Paris at the time. And so then they would use the material that inspired the writing were crime blotters. And so this playwright became friends with a local Paris cop who was retired, and said, "Look, I want to do some theater, but I want it to be realistic, and I want the scary stuff to be scary. So we're going to do special effects. We're going to have crime stories, and it's kind of like a Shakespeare story, but for the poor. There's a pile of bodies, but no one has any money." Which people could relate to. So that evolved over the next 10 years. And then by the early 1900s, you had yourself a full bore horror theater. And so that's why I named Guignol Fest Guignol Fest.
And we take it a step further by
sorry.
genres.
Wait, I also used to do these live on stage in the 90s.
Yeah.
So that's the other reason, is that I've actually done this stuff. And then after a while, I got kind of tired of doing it because, honestly, 2 different theater companies that I work with, I showed them how to make it work. And then the next year they were like, thank you. And they butt checked me out. So
that's always a lovely feeling.
Yeah. So I just took it to the, another theater, screwed up again, and then decided, I'm tired of all this moving around all these props and all that. Everybody wanted to do it in the past too. They wanted to do the costume version of an 18 or 1920s thing. And Guignol, the original Guignol, was all about the here and now. It was punk rock. It was not about some other place, some other time, which is not scary because there's too much distance from you in that time. So for my money, it's all about here and now, and let's keep it contemporary, and let's deal with the fears and the nightmares that we're living with now. And so, and to very
from the headlines.
Exactly. Julia, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. And so when we bring it to the modern times now, that's where we put a spin. How many genres are we going to have? And this year we had probably like 28 genres of horror. Subgenres. So you can get sci-fi horror. You can get drug horror. You can get erotic horror. Everybody wants the erotic horror. I don't know why. Because they love to show their boobs. And the men have gotten a little bit competitive with their frontage as well. So it's like, wow. You really want to see that on the big screen? Apparently, yes. And the other thing that people love to vie for is Buckets of Blood Award. And they would always write to me saying, we're going to make 5 gallons of blood. We're going to win this. And yeah, I love to see them challenge themselves year after year. So it's been quite a surprise, and seeing some of the veterans try something new with their teams because they've done, a certain style over and over again. And then it's very exciting to see a lot of new teams. So we split Guignol Fest into the ghoul category for folks that have competed 2 to 3 years at tops. And then we have the legacy category, which is 3 or more. So couple of our oldest teams are more than 10 years old now.
I really like that methodology because it can be really hard when you're seeing a film festival block of films, and sometimes you can tell that a team and their film is more novice, and then the next one might have like a really high production value with like people who are actually like SAG-AFTRA members, and like how do you compare the two when it comes to like it being a contest? So I really appreciate that you've sort of kind of parsed them out that way.
I do like that a lot. I mean, that's what inevitably burned me out on the 48-hour film festival. I got tired of competing with people that were professional filmmakers for like Wyden and Kennedy, and this was like something fun to do for the weekend. And I'm like, I'm not going up against this. Like, this is real.
Yeah, it can be a little defeating, and it can take the fun out of it.
As soon as I saw a fucking helicopter shot, I was like, I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Was it before drones? Before commercial drones?
They booked a helicopter.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not fair.
Yeah, we had one year, a number of years ago, we had a team that won, and it was a friend of mine from my hometown, but in my mind, I was just thinking, he's a friend of mine. He's a filmmaker. It's going to be good. I forgot that he worked for Leica. Whoops. And so, so a lot of people got a little bit upset. They're like, how the hell are we supposed to compete with this guy? He directed the PJs, And I just, in my mind, it was just a guy at the bar when I was, in my 20s. And I still, sometimes my relationship with people just sort of sticks in that framework, and I forget that they achieved mountains of things, and then I like, hey, come to my little film festival and make a movie. Sure. Oops. I just made some people a little mad. So that's why we've changed the rules over the years to accommodate for sort of.
It would be nice to do those again. I feel like part of it is that's why, like for me personally, I got tired of competing against pros.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
You
understand.
know,
Yeah, I think almost everyone at this table has done the 48-hour film fest at some
done
point.
48 hours a few times. I've done Lovecraft. I've
Yeah.
never done Lovecraft under the gun,
I've
but
been
I've done a short for Lovecraft.
Yeah.
I've done 48 hour and I've been in a Guignol, and yes, boobs and blood.
Which one?
Which one are you in?
I don't think it
Actually,
ever
no.
aired.
They're the guy on the team who so I guess it's not like weird to say, but I have participated with Fetoid Productions.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
See, this-
and they compete regularly. But I believe that year the guy who sat in the director's chair was injured or fell sick during production, and this was 2020. This was like a COVID production, and so
yeah.
we didn't actually get to finish the movie. So yeah, I covered my bare boobs and blood for nothing.
Oh
I'll never forget it.
lost
My friend
episode.
texted me and was like, "You should see them. They're great. I'll send you a picture." I'm like,
Thanks.
You should ask.
Thanks,
first.
mutual friends. Yeah, well, we've been filming all day, and now it was into the night, and that mutual friend had brought a
See,
little
you
bit
know
of.
exactly who I'm talking
Of course,
about.
I know which friend it is.
I
brought
wasn't
a
even
little bit
there,
of-
and I know who you're talking about.
Mhm.
Judas Priest.
There were some beverages to help kind of loosen you up because I'm not a performer, so obviously I need a little bit of like anti-anxiety juice. So
Yeah.
by the end of the night, we've been going all day, and I was really feeling it. And I'm like, I'm the only weirdo who's not topless right now. That makes me the weirdo. So and I wanted the shot to be good. I didn't want to I didn't want people watching the movie to be like, how come that one girl never
It would
took her
be
top
weird
off?
to watch it and be like, boobs,
Mhm.
boobs, boobs, bra,
Yeah.
boobs, boobs.
I was wearing cool stuff. I don't know. I don't know why I'm defending this or explaining it. This is not about me.
Again, we've all done this, so we understand how this works.
Yeah.
Decisions are made.
Yep.
Yeah,
You you do it for the art.
There's a short. There's a short out there somewhere where I am full Monty, but I am never saying what it is. That's also the year that they broke my fog machine.
Oh, I don't know nothing about that.
I know, it's fine. Fog machines are cheap, but I was like,
Rude.
I had just had a fog machine and they broke it.
Mhm. But so speaking of being on productions and on sets and stuff, you guys don't just put on the festival for other people to make films. You yourselves have an ongoing horror series that you write and produce and perform in. So tell us about the Night Attacks.
Okay. Well, I guess the origins of the Night Attacks really do go back to when I moved to Portland. I wanted to do some kind of movie, almost like have you ever seen the Mondo series back in the 60s and 70s? I thought, I moved to this like Mondo Kane, Mondo, New York, I think was the last one they did. And I just thought, wow, this is such a, an interesting city, so many interesting kind of people. And I thought I was going to do a documentary about Portland. And then my life kind of took many different turns over time. And I thought Portland was going to kill me, and end up actually in a situation where I was couch surfing and didn't have a place to stay and couldn't get a job, and I was going down fast. And Julia dragged me out of hell and helped me out. And so the story, the Night Attacks, is kind of inspired from that, the horror of maybe possibly losing my life and everything else. But the roots of it really do come from the sense of like, okay, well, what's the worst thing that can happen to you? And so it was houselessness. And I thought, okay. And somehow the connection, the idea of like two filmmakers going overseas to make a movie in Transylvania and and having Dracula follow them home. And the idea that Dracula's dead didn't exist until we arrived. So it's kind of an egregore. It's like an entity that came out of many different minds. And that being sort of a metaphor for, Dracula's into real estate, right? So basically this guy who's just like, you're not going to live anywhere because I own everything. And so, and also the other thing was that Julia and I, when we decided to start writing this and film it, we went to Transylvania, and we arrived in Bucharest. And that morning we woke up and the dumpster fire had been elected. So that fed into my imagination. There's a greater evil going on in the peripherals. There's almost a mirror effect. And I thought, well, it's perfect because, like, you think about it, Trump and Dracula, they have 3 wives, they're into real estate, and they suck. And so, it started out of a joke in my head, and then it just sort of evolved into 2 people coming back to Portland who had started making a horror film, and now they're really having a hard time finishing it because Dracula's on their ass. And at the same time, the world's falling apart, and they're not sure if their friends who were helping them make the movie are their friends anymore because so much time has passed. And so I'm just sort of tying in all kinds of things that have happened in my real life, and marry it with a character that some people don't think is scary anymore, Dracula. With all the iterations over time, some people maybe think it's been watered down and in a Twilight sense. By the way, I was in Twilight. Just gotta say that. You can't see me because they had three different camera angles, and the best camera angle was the one where I was behind a bush. So reading the little section.
But you can still say you're in it.
I still have the check stub in the kitchen. But yeah, so the Night Attacks is, we've already started releasing little mini-sodes on YouTube. So there's about a half hour's worth of stuff there that lead up to a big hour-long episode that we're going to release this month and before Christmas as a Christmas gift. And so that'll be number 1, and each consecutive episode will be shorter, just so it speeds up a little bit. And the idea is that it ends in a giant Halloween war in Portland downtown, where it's werewolves, vampires, ghosts, witches, demons, everything. It's just, I want to have my Halloween Lord of the Rings is what it's called.
Bitchin'.
That sounds amazing.
I mean, if that war is going to happen anywhere, it would be here.
That's true.
I want to go. I want to go to that war.
Me too. There's going to be
first time I've ever said that.
Yeah. And a lot of the factions, there's like the tall bike faction, the beardsmen, the naked bike ride faction, the ghost bike ride faction. Yeah. So everything.
Yes, always clowns.
Always
clowns.
That's right.
We could bring Team Hong Kong back.
I feel like we have more scary clowns per capita in Portland than anywhere else.
I think we do. I think I've been on a train with you with a bunch of those. After
the Starlight Parade.
Starlight. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Coming out of Fright Town and pouring into that car with all of our makeup on. Oh, that was so fun.
While we're on the topic of Dracula stories, one of our listeners, Norm from Texas, would like to know, if money were no object and you got to produce a big budget Dracula movie, who would you choose as your director? Who would you cast as for Dracula, etc.? And who's your director of photography too?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. It's gonna be hard to answer actually. Bigelow would be the director.
Oh,
I can't remember her first name. Catherine Bigelow. Catherine Bigelow was actually the director. Our Dracula. I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be Stephen Johnson who plays our Dracula in the Night Attacks. Mm-hmm. Our version of Dracula, though, has different forms, so there's actually more than one person playing Dracula, including women. Mm-hmm. And one of the women, I love this. We met her recently. She's a neighbor of my friend Adam. She's Romanian, and I didn't know that when I told her about the story. And she just sat there and stared at me in the eyes and said, "I'm related to Dracula." you mean Vlad the Impaler? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, you need to be in this movie. And she rides a motorcycle too. So we have her in the movie as a motorcycle
cool.
riding.
Is she actually related to him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
I mean,
with paperwork and everything.
allegedly. I'm just trusting her word. But
it's like that Mexican thing where we're all related to Pancho Villa.
I know. You looked at me and I knew we were thinking the
We're
same
thinking
thing.
the same thing.
No, yeah, my dad straight up claimed that.
Yeah,
Then I mentioned it to my mom, and she's like, "Don't tell people that."
Every Mexican family has the dad or the tío that's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Your great rode with Pancho Villa. I'm like, or like we were related.
Right. Not to say that we don't believe your friend, but maybe it's one of those things where like everyone's family tells their kids like, "Oh no, we're related."
Right. Exactly.
It's still cool.
Yeah,
I do love that you and I were immediately like, we know that look.
Wait a minute. But as far
I
as
want it to be true for sure, so
it's badass.
yeah.
who would you think would be a good director of photography for
like whoever's doing the Coen Brothers movie?
Yeah, anybody who works on a Coen Brothers film
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
would be my pick. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know the name.
I can't think of it, but I love his angles because it's like he's right in the middle of a conversation with that camera.
Yeah, it's not the over the shoulder bullshit. It's like it's as if someone's sort of standing between them, and just the way the lens looks. It's so that's the way we bought that millimeter lens too. I was like, I want these things to look like a Coen Brothers film.
Yeah.
Cool. The person who asked this question is a professional photographer, so that's why they think to ask that.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yes, that makes sense.
Good.
Like, I totally get why he asked that question.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Norm from Texas. I gotta do more research on my Coen Brothers films. Apparently,
I want to see Catherine Bigelow do a Dracula movie though.
Yeah, because she did Near Dark.
She did Near Dark, so she's done a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I when that came out, it was right around the same time as The Lost Boys came out. And I loved both movies, but Bigelow's film really stuck in my head. In fact, I've even imitated some of her camera angles since then. In fact, almost immediately after I saw Near Dark, I made a vampire movie in the summer of 1988 called Red Red Wine or something like that. I think it was the sequel, but it was something like Fresh Blood or whatever. And I forgot. I'd watched some footage of it recently and went, oh my God, I stole that from Catherine Bigelow.
I mean, there are worse actors to ape from. So
yeah. And so I'm glad that, she finally got her due when she won the award for Zero Dark 30, I think it was called.
Oh yeah.
Modern film. Yeah. And all of a sudden she gets awards, you know her name. And I didn't even know she was married to
James Cameron.
Not Sam Elliott. That's the guy who directed Aliens.
Yeah, James Cameron.
Sorry. Yeah. Sam Elliott.
Sorry. I was thinking,
there's this
Roadhouse.
There's this thought with camera movies. You can always tell how his relationships are going by how the women are written in his films, the lead women.
Oh.
So when he's having a healthy relationship like he did with Catherine Bigelow at the time, that's how you get Ripley in Aliens. But when he's going through a divorce, you get, even though I do like this movie at times, it's not that the performances are bad, it's how the women is written. It's how they are written and how they are treated as a character. And then you get Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies.
Oh, yeah.
Who's basically just there to be a piece of like a doofy repressed wife at the beginning and then a sex pot at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how The Abyss fits into that.
The Abyss was the in-between because the arc for her character in The Abyss is really jarring. Yeah. Cameron's not very good at separating his emotional issues at the time from his films.
I feel like that's probably true of most men who direct.
That's also rumor why they think Temple of Doom is so dark.
Oh,
Spielberg and Lucas were both going through divorces during production of Temple of Doom. during pre-production and production.
Oh,
Yeah, the Amy Irving divorce.
Yeah.
yeah.
The best thing about that though is to watch like all the behind the scenes where you can tell that Spielberg, I mean, they're still together, so clearly it worked. They had a massive crush on Kate Capshaw.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So day one, he's just in his khakis with a beat up t-shirt and a hat that says like Lucasfilm. Man, by the end, motherfucker's directing in a tuxedo. And it's trying so hard to impress this beautiful blonde woman. Of like, I'm a filmmaker. You know, I mean, it works. I think they've been together ever since. So, but it's
Wow,
kind of
that's
hilarious to watch that.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't know he was still married.
I think he's still married.
Yeah,
I
they're
think they
still
are,
married.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
But
good.
yes, Cable, I think you can tell a lot about what male directors feel about women or the women in their lives specifically. It's pretty clear.
I watched the movie. It was the I'm blowing the name. It was Bobcat Goldthwait's Bigfoot movie.
Willow Creek.
Yes.
Willow Creek.
we met him before the show, and then I wanted to drink with him. I wanted to figure out where they're going to go afterwards. So I thought, well, I'll go talk to the musician who was in this movie, and he'll tell us. And so he texted me an hour later and said, "Oh, we're going to this club." And as I was hanging out with the lead actors from his film, and they were all kind of muttering to each other and you know, saying, "Oh, I think this might have been a metaphor for the divorce with his, you know, the mother of his babies." But it was one of those things where it was about a married couple, and you know, spoiler alert, as he's trying to propose to her in the tent in the woods, and she rejects it, Bigfoot kills them both. So
did not remember that. I love that movie, and I did not remember how it ended.
Yeah, it was a really sad rejection, and then Bigfoot time. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's implied that Bigfoot kills him, and she might become a forest wife.
Oh, there you go. You get dragged off into the dark. That's right.
That's darker.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Or it's meth heads. Either way, it's not a bad ending. It's not a good ending for either of them.
No,
right.
Because that's always the thing too. Is it Bigfoot or is all the meth heads because they stumble onto areas where they shouldn't be?
Right.
Feral people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
that's really a metaphor.
Yeah. So we got Norm from Texas says, okay, second question, rate my Dracula movie. Director David Eggers, Dracula, Henry Cavill, Lucy, Margot Robbie, Renfield, Toby Kebbell, and DP would be Roger Deakins. That's cool.
Roger Deakins is cool.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is almost too good looking to be Dracula.
Yeah.
And Norm, you should feel good. David Eggers is doing a Nosferatu, so there you go.
That's right. I'm looking forward to that.
It is true.
Looking forward to that.
Toby Kebbell, I think the thing that I recognize him most from is Servant, which is pretty niche. That's an Apple TV Plus show. But I know his face from other things, and I can't quite put my finger on it. Norm, was he on Dexter? Because I'm not recognizing these other titles.
Actually, and also...
but he's like a tall-ish Caucasian guy with dark hair and dark beard.
Yeah, that narrows it
down. I know. We're not narrowing it down at all. I just like... he was in the new Ben-Hur. Something called The Hurricane Heist. Oh, he was on Skull Island. Who the hell is he on Skull Island?
Oh, cool.
Okay, yeah, and who did Norm say he would cast that guy
as? Renfield. Which I feel his particular look lends itself more to Tom Waits's characterization.
Okay, I see.
Renfield.
Yeah, so I feel like you're sort of redoing his Bram Stoker's Dracula
a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Although I would not see, now my brain's just like, forget Margot Robbie as Lucy. Just let Margot Robbie write and produce herself as Elizabeth Bathory or as Camilla. Just give her own, just make her do like a really cool redoing of Dracula's daughter. and just go all out for it.
Well, somebody who do we know who can get word to her? Because I think she'd be into that.
Let me get on my regular Hollywood contract phone number.
I mean, like 6 degrees, 8 degrees.
I mean, I
Surely
guess
we know
so.
somebody who
Yeah,
knows somebody.
We probably do.
Who knows somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, we know the Elfmans now.
Right. I have figured out how to contact just about anyone. And when Don Pedro was in the night attacks, he died 3 days later. He knew he was going down. So he called us and said, come to my deathbed. I want to film. So we recorded, and he died. We were supposed to come back the following weekend and get some more shots, but he died. And as a result, Julie and I were compelled to do his eulogy, or rather his what do you call those things when people the newspapers obituary. So we wrote his obituary for him because it didn't seem like many other people really remembered him, and we contacted, I swear to God, we contacted George Lucas and got him. He said it was his assistant, but he wrote, he actually did. It sounded like exactly what George Lucas would say. And also Robert Duvall. And Robert Duvall doesn't have a computer per se. He's got a fax machine. So he faxed me his response, and we put it into the obituary. You know, he's out there in the ranch somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was cool. So we got some quotes from Lucas and Duvall because THX 1138. He was in that.
That's cool. Wow.
Yeah. So it's after doing something like that, I was like, oh, I can contact anybody. I know how to do it. It's cool.
Like a dangerous amount of power, right? You have to like be really responsible with that.
Yeah.
Or you're a house call doctor like me, because like the way we got in touch with Don Pedro, actually, it was a patient of mine that Lorna, who actually sang for the Elfman.
Lorna Baxter.
Yeah, Lorna Baxter. So she was my patient back in 2018 or something like that. And I was doing a house call for her, and while I was taking her blood pressure, this big man comes from out of the guest bedroom, bald, tall, and I kept staring at him, and I'm thinking, I know this guy. And I just kept paying attention to Lorna, and then I would look over, and I'm like, I know you from somewhere. And he's like, you do, don't you? And I said, you are the Baron from freaking Sugar Hill. And then he's like, aha, yes. So that's how I got in touch with these two. And then I changed different medical providers because, like, due to fraternization, you can't be friends with your patients. So a year later, I was working with a different organization. I called up Lorna. I said, we can be friends now. And that was how it all started with Don Pedro and Lorna way back in 2016.
Wow.
And, so we kept in touch with Don Pedro. He would school us on like the movies and the history that he helped make, for Hollywood and people of color. So that was really, that was quite an education too, because he would tell me all the ins and outs of how challenging it was for a person of color to be in the 60s, acting in the 60s, and then all of the tropes that he had to play, all of the stereotypes that he had to do, but yet open the door for a lot of people of color at that time.
He grew up in Oregon. His mom named him Don Pedro just so he would have a name that almost sounded like royalty.
Yeah.
And not be messed with as much. So he was in the football team back then, and then had a knack for acting and Shakespearean trained. So he went to Hollywood.
Wow, yeah, Klamath Falls, Oregon.
And doesn't Portland have a series of Mexican restaurants called Don Pedro? That's what just popped in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. If I Google Don Pedro, the first thing that comes up is the restaurants.
It's always like Don Pedro
but
one.
Like, did you mean the actor? Yes, I did mean the actor. I don't yet know if there is in fact a connection. Like, does he own them, or are they in fact named after him specifically?
Maybe he's related to Pancho Villa.
Maybe.
I mean, if we are, he is.
Yeah, it's true.
He told us a lot. We went to a diner. He came out to audition. The guy had 2 crutches on, and he drove his truck through the ice from Klamath to Portland. I don't know how he did it, but we sat in a diner, and he gave us about 2-hour. I wish I had recorded this, but 2 hours of just Hollywood stories about Dukes of Hazzard, about working with certain stars, people he liked, people he didn't like. He was, I think, a little jealous of Jim Brown's success because he didn't have any Shakespearean background. And it's little things like that. It was cool to hear.
Mm-hmm. And he was part of Night Gallery.
Oh, and he was in an episode of Night Gallery too. That was pretty cool.
Oh man, yeah.
Davy Crockett, all that stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of
And
TV.
he was in a Planet of the Apes, just like
yes,
like Toby. What was his name? I already forgot.
That alien character. Yeah, we have an autograph with that photo in the next room.
Argon or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. We went to one of the conventions too that he showed up at, and saw him there. He was cool. He was in a booth. We were in line to see Carrie Fisher, and they screwed up, and we got to the front, and they said, "Yep, you all have to go back now." So I said, "You know what? Carrie Fisher will be around. We'll get an autograph later." We were wrong, but
I know.
Yeah. Oh well, but it's just like timing. And then we walked over to say hello to Don Pedro, and he was in a booth with 3 Bond women
From the 70s.
Yeah, they're
Hey,
all
now.
Good for him.
exactly. I was like, "You're killing it." So yeah, he was a really nice guy, and he just liked making movies. So it was just humbling to have a man call you on his deathbed and say, "Get your ass down here. I'm going fast. I want to make this." And we
Yeah,
did.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's in it. You'll see a little clip of him on that YouTube Night Attacks thing in one of those clips. I'm not going to tell you which one. You'll just have to. It doesn't matter what order you watch him in. It's just all backstory, little tidbits you'll need to know when you see the main episodes. But you'll see him in his hospital bed, and he says his line from Sugar Hill, "This is my domain." So cool.
Awesome.
That's a guarantees. So you said that first full hour episode is going to drop this month, right?
That's the plan.
Where should people go to find this episode?
Go to YouTube and search for The Night Attacks. If that doesn't bring you to it right away, maybe put in Portland or Guignol Fest, but it's on YouTube. I haven't really officially announced it in any capacity because I'm just trying to make it sneaky. And then that way, when people actually do catch wind of it, they'll be able to see a whole bunch of stuff at once.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So then, does that mean that the mini-sodes that you've already done, are those not up yet, or are those ready to find?
They are up. Yeah, there's
Okay.
about I don't remember the exact number, maybe 10 or 13 mini-sodes up on YouTube already. And if you find yourself confused watching them, you're supposed to be.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yay.
Just think about it's very much in the spirit. During COVID, I watched a lot of the analog horror stuff on YouTube, and I sort of did it with that in mind of just like, just leak out little things, and you'll start to catch on as time goes by. What you'll catch on as to what is happening, but you'll find little allusions to other vampire films in there. For example, one of the minisodes takes place in the fictional town of Santa Clarita from Lost Boys.
Right.
And that's why we also had Tim Capello come to Chico. I'm sorry, Chico. Jeez. come to Portland and perform the weekend of Guignol Fest this year at the Star Theater. That was an email that I made when I was in Ireland earlier this year. He said, "I lost my Seattle gig," and I said, "Come to Portland. Come to Star Theater."
How fortuitous.
Yeah, so he did it, and so we got a little Tim Capello love. He also did one of our announcements for in the year 2020 for Guignol Fest. He did the "I Still Believe in You" Guignol Fest announcement, so it was cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, trying to bring it all together. It's a little meta, but it's fun.
No, I love all of the interwoven connections and projects, and the way you were, sprinkling in elements of other people's projects into yours to sort of kind of. I think we were just talking last week about how much we love a shared universe.
Yeah.
And even if it's not like official,
Yeah.
like once you place those connections into your work, you are planting those seeds for everyone to enjoy relationally.
Yeah,
Correct.
we notice a lot of our Guignol Fest teams too. They would start in one big team, splinter off into their own little teams too, like separate teams. But you'll see subject matter, you'll see actors cross-pollinating on the same weekend of Guignol Fest. There was some actors that would jump from one set from 10 to 2, go to another team set from 2 to 8. And it was just crazy how much overlap there was. And then some folks are doing movies outside of Guignol Fest where they're using us as our own characters. So we're all cross-pollinating somehow in Portland.
Oh, one little point too. There's a musician who passed away last year, a friend of ours named John Neff, and he did soundtrack work for David Lynch for a number of years. Movies like Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, his website. He even had a little cameo in season 3 of Twin Peaks. Now, I became friends with him because I did a burlesque show where I played David Lynch, and he came up to me at intermission. He said, "I was practically his roommate for 9 years. You guys really got into his head. I appreciate this." And so we became friends, and he gave us permission to use the Blue Bob album that him and David made for part of our Night Attack soundtrack. So we have a little bit of David Lynch in there too.
Oh,
And
wow.
we also recently, as in a couple of years ago, visited the Laura Palmer house. And the lady who pops up in season 3 and opens the door actually lives there. So,
Wow.
yeah. So we let her, we said hello to her and let her know what we were doing. And it wasn't a great time for us to come inside, but she did let us go to the backyard and get some pieces of a tree that was in Twin Peaks that had gotten cut down. So we got pieces of wood we're going to make Christmas gifts out of. And she said, next time you can come by and maybe even film in here. So
Wow.
That's cool.
That'll be exciting.
High-end stuff than you can imagine.
Yeah, she's kept the house really authentic and pretty much what it looked like on that last episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
She was so gracious. I was so surprised.
Such a sweet lady.
Yeah, how
It's not like those Goonies house people.
Oh, I know. Oh,
That has a new owner now, though.
No, I know it's
It's pretty much almost the opposite. I mean, I'm not saying go, bugger. Because
Don't do that.
I feel as though that people in Snoqualmie Falls have gotten used to the idea of a lot of people just showing up.
Yeah.
I know that we met a director last year.
Met a couple.
K.
Okay.
Yeah. KXI. And they part of her trip out here, she also went up and did the Twin Peaks tour before coming down.
She was really excited for that.
Yeah.
That was, it's funny that Twin Peaks is in a lot of ways is the reason I even came up to the Pacific Northwest. A couple of years after the series ended, it was the music initially. I wanted to go check out Seattle. And once I arrived, my hosts said, Twin Peaks was made just a few miles that direction. And I had no idea. So I went to North Bend, and this is before it was like a hot spot. I went into a drugstore. I said, do you know anything about any of the locations for shoots in Twin Peaks? And this guy had a hand-drawn map that he had photocopied.
Wow.
Himself. I wish I still had this, but he goes, here it is, man, $1. And I bought it. And I got photos on the bridge, and went found the falls and just all these things, and I was like, this is great.
What year is that?
Oh, that was 1994. I even have video from that year. I posted it, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, nice VHS filter effects." And I'm like, that was a real VHS. It was 1990. Just a nice little scratches and whatever. But anyway, yeah. Wow. So after coming up here that time alone, I came up again with a roommate, and it just kept, solidifying. And then I came up here with 3 girls on Thanksgiving one day. We decided to ditch our families, and these 3 girls said, "Hey, you want to get out of town?" I said, "Sure." And we went to Portland and hung out in Portland for about 3 days. Had a great time. And then I went back to Chico, and my sister had an accident in LA, and as a result, I had a different apartment, and one 4th of July, I decided I'm moving to Portland. That's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And I started packing that day. And this is like 1998. So it took me 2 years to get to Portland, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I think we are at our time.
Yeah.
Which is too bad, because I also feel like this conversation could go on a lot longer.
Well, we'll just have to have you both back on.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. We'd love to. Yeah, I can talk a mile a minute.
When is the next Guignol Fest?
Next Guignol Fest is next October. I think we've nailed down a date.
So the filming weekend starts October 11, which is a Friday, and the teams have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and have to turn in the movie on the 14th, Monday. The screening and awards is that following Saturday, October 19th, and that'll be at the Clinton Street Theater.
Then we will make sure to check in with you probably September.
Yeah,
if not sooner.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe before registration deadline.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Cool.
Maybe one day we'll actually do one.
You keep talking.
That would be cool.
Yeah, there are people making movies with their iPhones and editing on their phones themselves because there's no time for them to get equipment. And so they share, there's no time. And they're doing amazing work. We had a single shooter who was his own DP. He was his own actor. He went out into the woods, and he actually got first place in the ghoul category. So you can do things on the fly, really. Yeah,
we have a gimbal.
I just want to say one thing. My recollection of working with Cable at Fright Town in the museum, the guy is a master of teleportation. He'll show you something, and he'll go, "Oh no, go over there and look at that," and you'll walk over there, and somehow he's right next to you again. Like the guy, he was just ninja'd around you.
Oh yeah, I am well aware.
Yeah,
almost as though you were a professional.
Yeah, it is spooky.
The devil.
It's amazing. I just want to say thank you, Cable, for freaking me out.
Thank you.
That's gonna make his day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a scary time for me, but it was also a glorious time. Meeting Julia and all these talented people.
That never came across in the time that I worked with you. Like you didn't project that. You were nothing but professional. And
well, good.
Very warm and very open and very helpful to have. Like you were running a lot of the cast management for that, and you were fantastic.
Thank you.
And I did feel a lot of that. Like the show that you ran for the Elfmans was spot on perfect. Like if there were technical difficulties that night, none of us saw it.
Right.
None of us did.
Wow.
It just ran smoothly. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's years of working with amazing people and just learning from them and then sending it back out again.
Yep. That's all we can do.
Yep. That's right.
Right.
Cool.
Well, thank you both again for hanging out with us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd love to do it again anytime. And
Right.
we'll keep you posted on the Night Attacks when we release our first episode official.
That'll be great.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Alice Cooper says hello.
Hi, Alice.
Hi.
There.
Awkward pause time.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you hang up.
All right.
No, you go. No, you go.
I can't hang them up.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
gonna. Thank you.
Like, don't look at me.
There you go.
There we go. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Well,
we-
we're actually gonna. Yeah, we're kind of wrapped up here.
Yes, yeah, we are full on out of time, but that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of
Uh,
fun.
I feel that's a great note to end the year on.
That's right. Yep.
As well. So we won't see any of you until January.
Right.
Mhm.
Reminder: don't come here next week. We
I mean,
won't
you
be here.
can. All the episodes are still on Twitch.
Yeah, they're all there. You
YouTube.
can watch
Just
them.
watch them.
Oh, can you come back on Twitch to rewatch stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
just-
just stored there.
Yeah. Don't watch the last few. You just watch me freak out over echoes that we never figured out why it was happening.
Doesn't matter, we sound great
fine.
now.
It's fine.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. That was a really good note to end the year on, and thank you to everyone who hung out tonight.
Yeah. Thank you,
And
everyone,
who's
and for the
been
year. And
hanging out all year.
it's always great. I
This
think
is
I'm
weird.
gonna.
We never do this, so now it's awkward.
I think I'm gonna go home and try to find me a Don Pedro. I could go for like a carnitas burrito right now.
Oh, that does sound good. I had mediocre Mexican food for lunch today, so I'm still full from that.
I had mediocre Mexican food yesterday at the event.
It was also really expensive mediocre
That's even
Mexican food.
worse.
I'm not going to put them on blast, but if you really want to know where not to go for overpriced mediocre Mexican food, I'll tell you privately.
Okay. I will ask you off the mic.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All right.
on that note,
Yep. Bye, everyone. Have a great holiday season, and we will see you in 2024.
woo,
Bye-bye.
miss you already.